over the last few months, we've seen quite a lot of podcast appearances from Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. First as the host of our own podcast series, The Confessions of a Female Founder. Then as a guest on the Jamie Kern-Lima show. And now on the Aspire podcast with entrepreneur Emma Grede. And they talk about a lot, including Meghan's take on her decision to share that twerking video. Here's what Meghan had to say.
You have to be authentic.
Just be authentic. Did you see my baby mama dance?
I mean, stop it. First of all, can I just tell you, the timing of that, we maybe watched it like 20 times yesterday, and I was like, is that her?
Oh my God.
Is that Prince Harry there with the fingers and the... I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Meghan and Harry, let's go.
But I think it's...
But that's you, right? Like, that's you in a way that we kind of haven't been able to see you before. And I did like a little secret cheer because I was like, well, that's what I kind of want to see from you. Like, I want to see that happiness and that honesty and that, like, I don't give a f***
But
kind
also,
of thing.
by the way, that wasn't yesterday.
No,
that was 4 years ago. So it's also a really great reminder that with all the noise or whatever people do, there's still a whole life, a real, authentic, fun life that's happening behind the scenes. I'm just grateful that now, being back on social as well, I have a place where I can share it on my own terms.
On your own terms.
She has been sharing it a lot, actually, hasn't she? A lot. I mean, we've seen so much more of the children in the last few weeks than we ever have done, even their faces. You know, this video, I mean, you know, I have my own feelings about the whole twerking video.
What did you think of the twerking video?
Well, we spoke about it, didn't we, on the last show? And I just thought, my feeling was there are certain things that should just be left 4 years ago. There was a reason, perhaps. Well, she didn't have socials, so she couldn't share that. But I just thought it was quite an intimate moment between her and her husband, and I don't know. I found it a bit cringe. Sorry if that sounds horrible, but I was like, just leave it there.
Is she landing a fair point though, Robert, in saying that, like, you know, at a time when there was a lot of noise and scrutiny, and she was in effect silenced in as much as she couldn't share those moments with the world, there was still a real happy life happening behind the scenes. Her and her husband sharing great moments of affection, hilarity.
Well, the idea that she's ever been silenced, I mean, I just sort of think back to, you know, the end of 2022, just after the death of the late Queen, and within weeks we had the first trailers for the 6-part Harry and Meghan, and then out it all came, 6 hours, I think, at least 6 hours on Netflix, followed by sort of Harry's book and all the interviews and other stuff. I don't really feel there's been a time when we haven't been hearing from Meghan. So I don't sense, if she's wanted to say something, she could. But on the twerking video, I mean, I just think, you know, something as personal and as intimate as, you know, when you're about to give birth, however you want to do it, I don't think we should be sort of lecturing. I mean, I sort of still cringe when I think back to when my wife was giving birth to our eldest, and I accidentally pocket dialed the Palace press office. Christ knows what they had to hear. So I feel in no position to judge someone for doing a little light twerking.
Do you know what? I wasn't expecting that.
No, me neither.
There we go. Fabulous. I hope that the Palace enjoyed your wife's labour.
I don't know how long. I don't even want to think about it, but it was toe-curling.
She also talks about imposter syndrome, Russ, in as much as she says she doesn't struggle with it, that she believes that where she is exactly where she should be. And yeah, I mean, were you surprised at that?
Oh, I was surprised at it because I think that sort of a bit of self-awareness wouldn't go amiss in these podcasts, but it's been severely lacking. I think you look at the Jamie Kern-Lima one, the Confessions of a Female Founder, now this. There's not a lot of modesty there, I think. And it would have been better for her to say, you know, we all have imposter syndrome. It's tough building a business. It's tough being in the public eye. I mean, she didn't just say, I don't feel imposter syndrome. She also said, I don't fear of falling or failing. And I thought that was just really interesting. That is this an act that she's putting across? Is it her being completely authentic? I suppose it depends what side of the coin you're on of being in favour of Meghan.
if you know that you have millions in the bank and you will never go hungry,
well, let's look at the evidence. I mean, she isn't a typical startup founder. She has a huge public profile. She has, huge wealth at her disposal, a massive team. I mean, the twerking video seemed to me that it was the invention of a new PR strategy, because it's all in time. The appearance coming on with Emma Grede is in time to launch new products, as we're seeing this week with As Ever. So everything is
fair enough, by the way.
Of course it is, and it's all a carefully managed process, and that's the aim of the business, isn't it? But is there anything authentic?
Do you think this is scheduled authenticity?
Oh, yeah, 100% it is, because she's gone on a completely different path to appearing with Harry. Harry's doing things very, very separately to her. The depiction of her life, and indeed the showing of the children on Instagram is a huge thing that they didn't want to do, and now they've plastered them all over social media. So each to their own. It's isn't for me, isn't for a lot of people, but it's 100% a PR strategy.
One of the questions that she was asked was about how she would rewrite her own narrative. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about the public narrative, because when you sign up to be an actress, you know that people are going to start recognising you, they're going to start speaking to you on the street, but that's very different from what you have now.
It is, Emma. It's very different.
No. I wonder, and listen, I want to say this to you in the best way, because I wonder if you could rewrite your public narrative from scratch. Is there anything that you would do differently?
Yes, I would ask people to tell the truth.
It's interesting, isn't it? She's for so long been sort of part of painting that narrative as a victim. And I was thinking as you were talking, Russ, about this sort of new direction that she's taking it. She was privately, amongst the family, nicknamed Teflon because of her toughness. And I think that's what we're seeing in her now. I think it's almost like she's just putting up a bit of a shield, and she actually has got to the point where she doesn't care. She knows she's divisive, she courts controversy. You might love her podcast, you might hate it. She is Marmite. And I think this new direction is like, she just doesn't care. But that comment about just wanting people to tell the truth, I mean, is that a dig at us, at the media, because she doesn't feel that we told her true story? Is it a dig at the royal family? It's just, it's like, well, we're talking so much and saying what we need to say because we don't feel we've been given a fair chance to say it. That's maybe why we're also hearing her in so many podcasts and seeing
imagine,
her.
The staff that raised those bullying allegations may feel completely differently. I mean, there's an investigation by Buckingham Palace that brought in an external legal firm. We never have discovered the findings of that, which is very interesting to say the least. I just don't agree with raking over old coals. They've moved on in a completely different space. It's a completely different mode of their life.
Is that easy for us to say, though, when we weren't the one that she feels that she's been misrepresented? But also,
how many times you need to go over the same point, though? And
she was royal for what? I think, was it 600 days, something like that, before they left. She's now been post-royal for 2,000 days.
And this is a repetition.
I just think the story was obviously, it was a huge story at the time, but I think we've sort of the story that the Sussexes were not happy in royal land has been so well trodden. I mean, they've told it so many times in documentary form, interview form, book form. I just sort of, when I hear that sort of thing, my sort of eyes glaze over. I mean, everything. I think it's a very slick act. But I mean, the word that just comes to mind is one of her favourite words. It's curated. Everything is curated. You just don't feel there's anything spontaneous about these. I mean, it'll get lots of
things here, because talking about raking over old coals, you've already said that the palace were guilty of perpetuating falsehood. You've already said via your spokespeople that the bullying allegations were a calculated smear against them. You can't get much tougher than that. So why are you still bringing this to the table? These things seem very fresh with certain eyes. You're moving in a different direction. You're a founder. You're a businesswoman. You've got a great family. You've got a great life in California. Leave this behind. It doesn't serve a purpose for me.
But also, if we're going back to raking over old ground here, there have been occasions when her own truth has been called into question. For example, the Finding Freedom book, where it was reported that she'd never had anything to do with the collaboration of that book, and then it turned out that actually she kind of had.
It's a list as long as your arm, isn't it? Your truth, our truth, the truth. Whether it's Oprah, whether it's Finding Freedom collaboration, Harry's book presented his version of events, didn't it? But
so when you wish that people would tell the truth, then surely you have to live by that yourself.
a good point.